Hey Off-White Coat listeners, it is my privilege to get to tell you about this sweet deal from our friends over at Picmonic. If you haven't heard about Picmonic, it is a fantastic picture-based mnemonic platform that can certainly help out any student. Most of the videos are around 2 minutes long and provide a quick and effective way to memorize material for any upcoming medical exam. It is extremely efficient. They have this search bar function where you can search playlists on general topics like renal to step 1 to step 2, or even first aid and other books. If you want to review the Picmonic for later, you can even make a playlist of your own. Picmonic even has this repetition algorithm that is spaced out according to your learning needs. This helps with increasing long-term retention and allows you to review the right information at the right time. One of my favorite functions is the quizzes that are associated with each Picmonic. I'll take the quiz first and then learn about the associated pictures and what facts I need to sharpen up on. Honestly, Picmonic is a fantastic tool, and if you use our code OFFWHITECOAT, you'll get 20% off. That's Off-White Coat with no spaces. So what are you waiting for? Make studying the easiest part of your day. Sign up with Picmonic and use Off-White Coat to save yourself some money. Hello everybody and welcome to the Off-White Coat podcast. I'm your host Jordan Abney. Today I've got a great guest with me. I've got a buddy of mine that while we met through mutual friends, he is a radiology resident. He is related to a famous person from Barstool Sports, Reid Portnoy.
May or may not be related.
No, I'm just
nice
kidding.
To be here.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But yes, we met through a mutual friend, and honestly, we spent the 4th of July together, and it was a good time. We went to the beach and everything, and
it was pretty crazy how I can't believe we're doing this right now. Honestly, meeting you like a week ago.
I know, right? But this is all about, I don't know, like meeting interesting people. And like the cool people that I've met, I really would prefer to showcase. And I don't know. So I was like, might as well do this. And yeah, so now we're here. How do you feel? How do you feel?
I mean, moving to a new place for a residency, I've been trying to, make new friends, be more open, started a TikTok and try to meet people. And when I met your friend Joel on TikTok, and he's like, "Yo, I'm coming down to New Jersey. Do you want to do something?" I was like, "Let's do it." And he's like, "Hey, I'm bringing my friend Jordan." I was like, "All right, I guess I'm hanging out with Jordan during the 4th of July." So
yeah, he had no idea. He was like, "Oh, I'm so bummed. I thought I was just gonna get to hang out with Joel." But no, it was honestly great. And sometimes it's those candid times where you meet people that it's fun. Plus, you had the beach pass, so that was.
The beach passes were key.
Yeah, the beach passes were key. So tell me about radiology, right? So you're originally from New York, correct?
Yes.
Okay, born and raised?
Born and raised, baby. Long Island, New York.
Long Island, New York. So, but you got your residencies in New Jersey.
Yeah, so my residency's in New Jersey. I did my intern year on Long Island, and I actually tried to do my intern year, like, I applied for Hawaii, I applied for California, like Des Moines, like what is it, Idaho or Iowa? Whatever.
Yeah.
Des Moines, like I was like, I'll go anywhere for intern year, and I ended up like 45 minutes from where I grew up from. I guess they kind of like location, and then I ended up in New Jersey for residency.
That's the interesting thing too, is that a lot of the places, the residencies, they are looking for like you to be kind of close or like have a tie to that area. I don't know. I've just noticed that a lot with the interviews, and like they're going to ask you what makes you want to choose this hospital, and that means a lot in there.
Yeah, I mean, in high school and college, like when you say, "Oh, I have ties to this area," it just doesn't feel like that big of a deal. But for medical school and like even more so residency, they want to train doctors that they want to stay in that area. They want to be there, like work there and live in that area and like help that community. So it's like, if you grew up in New York, like New York hospitals are more likely to pick you rather than being like, "Oh, I'm from New York and I want to move to do residency in California." Those California hospitals are like, like you're probably going to do training and then go back to New York. So, which isn't true for everyone. So it's just like something that I noticed like on my, journey to becoming a physician.
It's weird that it matters that much because like with me, I'm like, oh, I would like to go to a different place and experience all these new things. And so I'm not like tied to one specific area, but that matters a lot. Like they don't want somebody that's just going to be a freelancer.
Yeah, basically not. And honestly, for residency, I applied all over the country. I had interviews in Miami, interviews in Houston, Boston, and I ended up in New Jersey. And honestly, it worked out really well. I have family in Maryland, family in New Jersey. All my friends live in New York City. And I didn't think I really needed that type of like support for residency. But now that it happened, and this is where I ended up, I'm like very grateful it worked out the way it did.
Mm-hmm. How far away are you from like your family and everything? How long does it take to get there?
Well, so my parents moved from Long Island to New Jersey, actually. So they're like, I'm an only child, and I'm August birthday, so I'm like a Leo and an only child. If anyone knows astrology, that's like double whammy for like being selfish. But I'm really not that selfish, I swear. So my parents moved to New Jersey, and then which was they live like an hour away from me, which is like a good amount of time. I have family in Maryland, like 4 hours away. Family literally in New Jersey, like 30 minutes from me, and like all my friends are just a train ride away. In New York City, so it really it worked out that way. Hospital's beautiful, and I don't have much to complain about.
I've heard a lot of good things about the hospital that you're at, and I mean the fact that your family is close, that's awesome. I'm a Scorpio and the oldest of 7, so that must mean I'm a pure psychopath. I'm not
probably.
I'm not really sure about my astronomical charts, but.
Astronomical. Like literally anytime I go on a date anytime I go on a date with a girl, like, oh, when's your birthday? August. They're like, oh, how many siblings do you have? Only child. They're like waving this red flag in my face, and I'm like, yo, I meditate, I do yoga, like, come on, like, I'm really not like that, I promise.
That's where I just start drawing the line. Because when they start talking about meditation, I'm like, oh God, no, I'm just kidding. I'm like, this person might actually have their stuff together. I was like, they'll never want me.
Yeah, we're too good for people that don't meditate. I actually just made a TikTok on helping people like how to like create boundaries for intern year, because I know like intern year you work like 70, 80 hour weeks, and sometimes even more than that, even though you like never put that on like your logger that you work more than 80 hours a week, because you can't do that. Shout out ACGME. But the intern year, during my first 2 years of medical school, all I cared about was like studying, doing everything like medicine. Like I like kind of like didn't hang out with my family as much, didn't hang out with my friends as much. After I took step 1, I was like, wow, like I like can't do this for the rest of my life. So I was like trying to figure out a way to become like a more well-balanced medical student and now resident. And honestly, like meditating has helped me throughout intern year, like wash away like the day and be able to like relax more and like actually sleep at night instead of like being like, what are my patients doing? Are my patients okay? I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do that. Like after I meditate, I kind of like chill, watch TV, and like I'm able to like fall asleep easier. So like I kind of just recommend people trying that out.
That's awesome. I definitely recommend it as well. So there's this nurse. I read her book. Well, her book was about preventing burnout. It was about, like ways to de-stress and stuff like that. And so I was reading it, and there's just so many good tips too in this book, and I'm gonna have to get it. But in this book, like she was talking about, how meditation's really helped her, and just taking a second to think about everything that's happened in the day, and that kind of desensitization is really good. Like you're just taking and you're chronicalizing everything that you did in the day, right? You're like, okay, or you're just taking a second to chill and be away from it, like let your mind just drift and go where it needs to go. And I don't know. I do that on planes until I fall asleep. I just try to like, I don't know. And you can get some of your best thoughts through that. I think that's one of the good things about meditation. I don't know. I really think it's
meditate. Have you ever done it before?
Yeah, like I take this. I don't know if I have done it in the
like 10 minutes.
I just take time to sit and think about what is going on and where I am, and sometimes I just sit and go. Like the prime example is in this book was you just take a second and you're breathing. You're thinking about things. You have a breathing exercise or whatever. I just breathe slowly. I don't know all the steps, so I don't.
There are no steps. It's just like
I just breathe slowly and I just think about everything that's going on. I let my mind work through a lot of things, and that means I'm not interacting with the outside world. Like I'm just taking a second, and I do that, and I love it. Like that's how I decompress for sure.
Yeah, I mean it definitely just separates, because in the hospital you're running around, orders, this, that, patients, families, like over and over and over and over again. You're like going 100 miles per hour, and it's like, how are you, if you're like that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, like you're obviously going to get burnt out, and you have to find your own ways that help you with burnout. And for me, that just happens to be listening to a 10 or 20 minute meditation, like an hour and a half, 2 hours before bed, and like having like a night routine.
Do you listen to music, or do you like listen to some
I listen to like a guided
audio?
Meditation. There's like different apps. So I use like something called Insight Timer. There's also like the Calm app, Headspace. There's like a million different apps. They're all like the same stuff.
Okay.
So it depends on what you want. Yeah.
It just like plays like music, or the guy like
they just talk,
soothly talks to you.
Soothly talking to you, talking about like being in the present and like all that stuff. It's like you have to like you have to be open minded, right? Like we're in medicine, like we're all about facts, right? Facts. It's like very different from the medical field, but
that's what I'm slowly going to warp this podcast into, is just like me slowly talking while everybody's meditating. I just do my ASMR voice, like I'm like, "Hello, everybody, welcome to the Off-White."
Hey, if people are relaxing, you're doing a good job. So.
I'm just being stupid. No, yeah. So I think meditation is good. Do you do any other things for like burnout or whatever, like relaxing?
Yeah, So not everyone can do this. I did a transitional year, so I was on floors. When I was on the floors, like my schedule was like 6:30 to 5 or 6:30 to 8 if I was on long call. We didn't have like a night. We did like 2 weeks of night, so like my schedule during my transitional year was a little less stressful compared to surgery, ortho, like other programs. But something that worked for me at least was if I had to be at the hospital at 6:30 in the morning, I woke up at 5:15, and like I just like gave myself time to like wake up, have a cup of coffee, watch a YouTube video, like do something for me before I went to the hospital, just so like I was able to separate like Reid Portnoy the person to like Reid Portnoy the doctor, because I was like finding myself being like all I was like focused around was medicine, and it's just like if that's all you care about your entire life, like you're gonna get burnt out, you're gonna be unhappy. Like there's more to life than medicine. Some of you need to hear that.
That's a great tip to give people, because that is one thing, like waking up, and I think waking up early might be the best way to handle the situation. You can do it late at night, but you're so tired at night.
Exhausted.
It's not, your brain's not on the same function, so you're just staring off into the distance and not like really getting any effort out of it. But I really think that wake up early and you can kind of dedicate a little bit of time to yourself. That's something that I like to do too, because when you wake up on like, and I even have done this plenty of times too, like when you're going to sleep a little bit later, waking up right at the crack, and where you only have just enough time to get ready and go to the hospital, like you lose yourself. You go home, you sleep, you wake up again, you go straight to the hospital. You haven't done any interest of your own besides medicine. You haven't done anything, and you kind of you become a grouch in a way, like you're.
Because your whole life is revolved around work, and we love work. You love medicine. Yeah. I love medicine, but I also love doing other things. And like my entire life, like up until like a year and a half ago, like right before I started intern year, that's the way I was. Like if like during third year medical school, fourth year medical school, or even during my first 2 years, if I had to start studying at 6:45, I'd wake up at 6:30. If I had to be at the hospital at 7, I'd wake up at 6:30, get to the hospital at 7. And like actually like how this started is like my ex-girlfriend used to wake up at like 5:15. Like she'd have work at like 9 a.m. but like wake up at 5:15 and like have this whole morning thing. And I was like, I thought that was like really interesting, and I tried that for intern year, and then I listened to like podcasts on like self-help, and it's like all about the morning. I'm grateful that I'm a morning person. Like it was much easier for me to transition into doing that. Mm-hmm. So it's just something that I would just recommend trying. I know it's really hard during intern year if you're like a surgical intern or an orthopedic intern. Like I get it. Like I 100% understand that there's like this time constraint. But like even like waking up like 15 minutes earlier than like you normally would could make like a pretty big difference in your day. Yeah, like I'm a notorious night owl, so I can stay up way longer. I try to go to sleep. I don't have any problem going to sleep per se, I guess is the best way to explain it, but I won't let myself go to sleep. Like I'll just be doing something or tinkering with things. But I found that my time in the morning, if I allocate some time towards that, I have way more productive time that I miss out on. Like I think that I can just stay up for an hour, but I don't actually get any as productive things done as I would have if I spent 45 minutes waking up earlier. Yeah, and I know that because I would rather be up at night, but it's not. It's a totally different mindset. I mean, as I said, I'm a morning person, so I'm not sure what other people are like, but I don't know if it's at 10 p.m. at night. Like I want to like watch like anime. I love watching anime. So like I'll watch anime from like 10 to 11. If I wake up at like 5:15 in the morning, like I want to wake up, have coffee. Maybe I'll like be reading something for like radiology related or like. Mm-hmm. Nah, I don't really do that actually. I just watch like YouTube videos on things that I find interesting to like get me going for the day. And like just like waking up early is in your, or I go to the gym in the morning, but like just doing something in the morning is like, it's kind of like if you make your bed in the morning, like that's like one thing you accomplish today and like gets like the momentum going. So it's like kind of like that type of vibe.
My girlfriend's going to love that you just said that, even though, because she makes her bed every day, and most of my family does not, so I didn't grow up with that whole, like we were forced to do it as children, but then after that, like my parents kind of faded on it themselves. So, but I know exactly what you mean by getting a win early in the day, right?
Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is. Like you don't want to make your bed, don't make your bed. Like whatever, who cares? Like I don't care.
No, I just think it's funny.
Right,
yeah. It's funny because I was like, she's gonna be like, oh, got it.
I love like after a long day, like seeing my bed being like made. I'm just like, oh shit.
It means a lot when people are coming over too. Like if I would never I would clean up, I'd make my bed and do that if I knew somebody was coming over. But if I'm like, oh, this is just like me going to sleep and waking up sometimes. But yeah, to see that room with the bed made, it makes it look a lot better.
To me, it does. I mean,
and my girlfriend likes to get into a bed when it's like made, just because the sheets are. Like,
love it. I love it tucked. I love a tight bed.
Yeah, he loves to be tucked in, people. So radiology. Why did you choose radiology?
Yeah, I mean, people like ask this like all the time. People are like, "Oh, you're like so social. Like, why'd you choose radiology?" And first, like, I was literally on my 3rd year rotation in medical school on internal medicine. Like, first month, like, you know how it is. Like, it's your first month. Like, all you want to do is like learn and do all this. And the internal medicine residents that I was working with were like, "Oh, like, I don't get it. Like, we're working so hard, and the radiology residents don't do anything. It's not fair." And I was like, you know what? Like, I worked so hard these past 2 years. Like, maybe I should look into radiology. That was literally
You're like, I need to get this.
That was literally how it started. And my mentor, he's 4 years older than me. He guided me all throughout medical school. Like, I definitely wouldn't be where I am without him. He ended up doing radiology. So when I was a 3rd year, he was like he was an R2, or a PGY2, R1. And he was just like, you should definitely look into radiology. And then, I like studying by myself. I like doing things by myself. Like, I like working alone. I like talking to people, but I like doing things my way. And in radiology, like, everything is your way. You do your own search patterns. Like, you dictate the way you want, as long as you get your point across to, like, the referring physician. Like, that's all that matters. And honestly, like, with radiology, like, no one really realizes this. You literally are doing medicine all day, every day. Like, with like internal medicine and like clinic, like you're writing notes, you're doing social work, you're doing discharge summaries. Like, there's so many other things you have to do during the day instead of doing medicine. While in radiology, literally your job is to sit in front of a computer, look at scans, and like do what you were trained to do, and that's read imaging. Like, that's all it is. And that's kind of like what really got me.
You were like, okay, I really like that. So is that the thing that got you, was the actual scan reading, like being able to understand any of the CTs and really. Imaging, or what? What
it was more saying? Of like the full workflow of it.
Oh, the everything encompassing.
The all encompassing. Like, I mean, I'm looking at a scan. I'm like, this is my first week. I'm like, this is really cool. Like, first of all, you're starting from square one, so it's like really hard. Like, I don't know like the lingo. I don't know like the workflow. I don't know how to work packs. But now I kind of do. But the point is, it's like you do everything on your own. It's very independent, and all I'm doing is focusing on the medicine, which is different than running around the floors and talking to people. So I guess this is what it is. I'm like a lone wolf when it comes to studying and doing this stuff. Like, when I figure out a way that's the right way to do it, like anyone that does it different than me, I'm like, yo, that's so wrong. Like, why? Like, it's way better to do it this way in my head. And then it annoys me when people aren't like doing it the way I think would be great.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I feel like I felt that way sometimes during the hospital. And when you're in radiology, it's kind of like all you have to do is do the correct dictation, make sure you talk to the referring physician, make sure that everyone understands what the findings are, and like no one else cares what you do as long as the findings are correct and you're able to communicate it effectively. Like, besides that, no one really cares the way you do it.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of like one of the main reasons. And obviously, like, there's a lot of different specialties you can do, and there's like a lot of other stuff, but like I kind of like working independent in that way.
Mm-hmm. I had this interventional radiology rotation, and I actually really enjoyed it. Like, I was like, oh, this is actually a great career, because of the fact that for one, it was like almost like a little workshop, right? Like the radiology department was, and it would be like one interventional radiologist on at a time. You know, there might be one other person that's like reading only scans, but the ones doing the procedures. I mean, it was like that was your own little space. Like you bring your patients in, you do all that. That's just, there's nobody working around. Like, I guess if the best example would be like if you're in the ER or like on the floors or something, like there's cardiologists, GI, there's other, you know, ER internal residents coming down, and there's just a lot of people. It's just you. You get to manage all of these people, and it goes your way, right? And I think, I don't know, I just thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, I could handle this well, too. I was like, if it was just me, I could easily do this, as opposed to, like, sometimes the whole team thing, I think that I thrive on, like, putting the best person for the job and, like, working with the team. I agree. I think that that's the best, but I'm like...
Me too, 100%.
When I'm by myself, I'm like, oh, okay, like, I can do this. Like, we can easily manage all that's going on right now. And yeah. I don't know. I thought it was really cool. Do you have any aspirations to do, like, any fellowships or... Yeah,
definitely. I mean, just to put it out there, because, you know, a lot of people probably want to know, like, other reasons why someone would do radiology. Yeah. Like, these are all the reasons why I chose it. Like, one was it's very independent. 2, you're, like, doing medicine, like, the whole time. 3, like, there's a lot of subspecialties. There's, like, body. There's IR. There's peds, like, emergency, neuro. Like, there's just MSK. Like, there's just so many different specialties to choose from that, you know, you can definitely find something that you like.
And I've actually heard, too, like, some places you can work from home. They'll get you a computer and you can work from home.
Yeah, there's, like, VRADs, which is, like, all online. So you can, like, part-time, read... So it's like, and like, I'm not going to lie, like, lifestyle is like a reason why I chose it. And if, you know, people feel like choosing a specialty based off lifestyle doesn't really make sense, like, that's up to you. To me, there's just way more to life than medicine. And like, plus when I was like doing surgery, like on my surgery rotation in medical school, like, I don't know, like, I was just like standing there and I was like, I just knew it wasn't for me. And like, I was like kind of grateful that I didn't fall in love with surgery, just because like, if I fell in love with it, I'd be doing it, and I just didn't. So, you know,
that's nice, yeah. Because I'm like in that weird limbo where I fell. Like, I love surgery, right? That's kind of the issue, is that I really do. But for lifestyle, it's very, very difficult. Like, I mean, there's a million other jobs with a better lifestyle, a million. Like, and even to be to do the whole medical path where you have to go 4 years of medical school, 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of medical school. Then you do a residency for 3 years. How long is your residency?
It's 1 year of intern, 4 years of residency, and then 1 year fellowship. So it's 6 years total. Like, basically cardiology.
14 years. I just named out 14 years, and you're only getting paid for the last 6. Right. And so it's just like that kind of commitment on its own before you even get to where you're working. And then, like, heaven forbid, after you do all of that, your job is constant. Like, now you have to work all day, all the time. And then, like, that wears you down. That is one thing that is always on my mind, too, is that you need to consider what kind of life you want to live.
Really do.
Yeah, because if you don't consider the life you want to live, you're going to choose a profession, and then it's going to prevent you from doing other things in your life, and that's going to be your source of conflict.
Right, and if you are listening to this right now and being like, no, I want to do surgery, like, do surgery. Like, first of all, anyone that does any other specialty besides radiology, like, thank you. Like, from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you for doing those specialties. I literally couldn't see myself doing another specialty, and we need doctors in all the fields. So, like, if your passion is something else other than radiology, if your passion is surgery, ortho, peds, like, whatever it is, like, thank you. We, like, the whole medical community, the whole world needs you. So, you know, thank you very much for, you know, going into those fields.
I think it's essentially where everybody's different, right? So you should never be like, oh, because I'm like these people, then everybody should be like me. This is the coolest specialty because everybody should want to do this, because everybody's different. So we were just talking about the best for being a team or whatever, you know, the best people should be at the best roles. So if you have a passion, you should go for it, you know, and, you know, like I might still be a surgeon and sacrifice, and sacrifice all my free time because of the fact that I know that I don't sleep often, and I like that stuff to begin with, and I will find joy in that. And so it's just a matter of, you have to find whatever you can enjoy, but don't do something for other reasons. And we were even talking about it earlier about just because we were talking about the issue. The issue is that you choose some professions just because you don't want such and such. Like me,
it sounds cool.
It sounds cool.
Like
other people will be impressed by you. Like they like the word.
Like when I go to a bar and I talk to girls and I'm like, yeah, I'm a doctor. They say what specialty, and I say radiology. They give me this look, and I'm like, you really like MRIs, CTs. They're like, what? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all right. Dude, compared to I'm an orthopedic surgeon. It's like,
yeah.
I mean,
but you're like, I have a lot more free time to spend with you, girl.
I'm not going to go further into this conversation.
So what fellowship, or you said fellowship, right?
Which probably. I don't know. Right now I'm thinking maybe musculoskeletal. There's like a lot of like ultrasound guided procedures you can do with that, and there's like athletic stuff. So we'll see. But I'm really not sure yet. I just started like a week ago, so we'll see. But I just wanted to say, like, back to what we were just saying, like, a decision needs to be made on like what specialty you choose. All we're saying is just make sure that you think about what your life will be like when you do that specialty, instead of just being like tunnel vision and being like, I want to do this because of this, and like not thinking about what your life is going to be during residency, during fellowship, like, as an attending, because like right now you don't believe that will ever come true, but there will be a point where you will be a resident, you will be an attending, and like it's important to just like think it all through, understand like the pros and cons, and then like making like an informed, like just informing yourself on making like a good decision, so you're not like halfway down the road being like, wow, I didn't really think of this.
Take a second, reflect, maybe even meditate. Like there's a moment, there's a moment where there is something about taking that second and then like thinking about yourself, thinking about what you really enjoy, thinking about what makes you happy, and that can be the make or break, right, on your decision making. Because sometimes I'm making decisions and it's because I need to do it more than like, oh, okay, like I really, really enjoy this or blah, blah, blah. And so you can really, if you take a second to listen to yourself, you'll be able to get the answer.
Yeah, you have to be able to listen to yourself.
Yeah, take a second, please, for the love of God, before you don't do it because your parents say it.
Please.
Or something else. Yeah, that's the best advice that can be given. Is there like a procedure or anything that you really enjoy doing right now? Because so I guess we should preface, you're a PGY2, correct?
Yes.
Fresh view. Oh, okay. Is there anything that you really enjoyed in that first year, like that you really like to do, or? So
we didn't get to do a lot of procedures during my intern year. You had to do like a line training if you were going to do like a PICC line or like a central line or something. So as like a PGY1 like intern, like my days were like consistent of like doing notes and stuff. I would say like the best part of my year.
The best part
was definitely like just like making like my like co-interns, becoming friends with them and like building a relationship with them, because like we all like moved to this new town. We all knew we were gonna be leaving after a year, and like we still became really close, and like that was just like dope. We were all just like never gonna have to do this again. Like I don't know, like it's floors. You were walking around the hospital, like you see your friends, you dab it up. I went to a small community hospital for my transitional year, so we were like pretty tight knit. Everyone kind of knew each other in the hospital.
Oh, yeah, I forget that it was the transitional year that you were already. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, though. So so were all the other people that were there, were they doing internal medicine, or were they doing transitional years? Or?
Yeah, so there was like a transitional year class, and then there was like an internal medicine program of 3 like classes, right, 3 years, and then there was like a psych program. So those were all the residents in the hospital. It was pretty small, cool. But I mean, I put in an A-line. Like, that was like the only thing I did. I put in an A-line. And like I wasn't even supposed to do that. Like my attending was like, I was like, can I put in the A-line? They're like, no, you're not supposed to. But like, I was like, but I put in the PICC in med school. Like, let me just do an A-line. And they were like, he was like, I guess I could. Did you do the line training? I'm like, no. he's like, all right, I guess I'll like watch you. Like,
dude, don't you love it when someone's like, hey, have you done this before? And you're like, Yeah. I've done it once.
And you kind of have
and you really
to do
have
that.
done it once. But if you say that you've done it, if you say you have not done it, you are not going to get an opportunity.
And that's the thing, and that's like the issue, especially with medical students. Like, if you're like with an attending and like it's something that you've never done before, ask the attending to do it. And if they're like, "Have you done it before?" Just say yeah. Like, I don't know, like you're a medical student. Like, there's nothing on the line. Like, I'm not. If you're like way in over your head, say no. But like, if they're like, "Hey, like I'm gonna place an A line. Like, do you want to help me place it? Have you done this before?" You could say, "Yeah, I have." Like, "Oh, do you know how to hold the ultrasound probe?" Like I've done it a couple of times. Like, if you could just show me, like, I'll remember quickly.
Yes,
you know,
that's
like
exactly what I do. I'll
it.
say, yeah, you need to find. You don't have to be like, yes, I know all the steps, and you don't have to help me. And then you get in there and you look like a fool. Like, don't do that. But like because when they do ask you, right, there's a moment where they're just saying, "Are you going to be able to handle this, or do I need to?"
Right, they're just genuine questions.
Yeah, and like my thing is, I might say, "Oh yeah, I've done it once," or I say, "I've watched a ton of people. Do you mind if I try?"
That's the best answer. Yeah, that's the best answer.
Yeah, I'm like, do you mind if I try? And because most of the time, especially if you like my first midline, right? It was a patient that I did almost everything for. And then we had to do, I went and got the history. I did all this. Then they couldn't stick her. Right. They couldn't get the regular IV in. So we wanted to go ahead and do this. And the guy asked me, he's like, "Do you want to try?" I was like, "Oh, of course."
Who, the patient or the attending?
The attending. But then he went in there and asked the patient. Right. But because I had that rapport or whatever, like, then I have to do it, right? Because that's going to be your patient one way or another. Right. So I was just like, yeah, of course. You have to just, because half of it is scary, but you just have to try it.
There, as I say, like, there has to be a point where you do something for the first time. Like, you're going to have to do it for the first time, and it's better as it's better to do something the first time as a medical student than a resident. It's better to do something the first time as a resident than a fellow. It's better to do something the first time as a fellow than attending. Like, that's just what it is. Like, the sooner you get it over with, the sooner you're gonna say, "Hey, like, I did this." Like, in medical school, like, we used the ultrasound probe a little bit. I worked at like a community hospital. There like wasn't a lot of staff, so like I put in a lot of IVs in medical school. So I was a resident, and like they couldn't get the IV in the ICU, and the nurse was like, "Can someone like do an ultrasound guided IV?" And I was just like, "I've never done an ultrasound guided IV before, but I've held an ultrasound probe before." Well, I did one PICC line, but like I like closed my eyes and got super lucky in medical school. But I was like, "Oh, you know what? Like, I think I could do." I was like, "You know what? I could do it." And I just took the ultrasound probe, the machine. I took the IV, and then like the patient was looking at me, and like I looked at the nurse, and I was like, "The bevel is supposed to be up, right?" And then the patient goes, "Are you joking me? You don't know if the bevel is supposed to be up or not?" And I was like, "Relax, I'm joking." Like, I got in like one stick. It was like super easy, but like, it's things like that. It's just like kind of fun. Like, it's around.
I mean, you have to try something new, and there is funny moments. Like, I remember in one of my first ever, one of the attendings, he comes over, he goes, "Oh man," and I'm so glad he did this too. But he's like, "I got the juiciest vein for you." This lady who, she had came in essentially sedated in the ER anyway, like I think drugs or whatever, but she was knocked out, and he was going to put a midline in, and he just took a second, ran over, grabbed me. He's like, "The biggest, juiciest vein," and I'm going in, and like, there's a lot of thoughts that cross your mind, like the first couple of times you do it. Like,
the ultrasound's
am I doing
hard.
this correct? Yeah. Like, you just need to get used to the movement, right? And I'm like, am I right? Am I in? And then he's like, and then I don't feel like the poke through, which I had felt in all the other ones. So I'm like, and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, you're good. I was like, I am good. I was like, "Oh, thank God." I was like, because I was like, I don't think I'm getting this.
You didn't even know you got access.
Yeah. And I was like, and then I'm like, oh, because at first I'm like, "Oh, I'm not getting it. And he's like, "Oh, you're in." I'm like, because I'm looking for the probe.
No, it's hard. It's hard.
Sometimes you get so low, and then there's the easy ones. Yeah, because you were talking about you close your eyes or whatever.
I was like, I had no idea.
We joke around. Yeah, but you're like,
it wasn't closed, but like I didn't really see.
Sometimes it's so easy that you don't even realize you're in. You're like, "Oh, thank God it was that easy." And sometimes it's very, very difficult. You learn from the hard ones, but you just have to take the chance to do it, period, right? Because the easy ones are going to make you feel comfortable, right, and then you're going to learn from the hard ones. And if you only do hard ones, you're going to hate yourself. And if you only do easy ones, you're never going to learn anything. So, yeah, I think the best thing, take your opportunity. Say that I said just ask if you want to try. Like that's a good way.
Yeah, why not? What do you have to lose? And it just shows interest too, if anything.
It shows interest. Yeah, a lot of people like that. I did a rotation recently, and the fact that I had done just a couple, like a couple of the ultrasound guided IVs before, like it was very helpful for the first year. The first years, so the interns, they actually started like that week, and I was able to like get everything ready. For one, I knew where everything was because I'd been at this hospital, but also I could run through because some of them had never even done it before,
right? And
so I'm like, I had done more than them, and so I'm just saying that I was like, oh hey, like we're going above the antecubital fossa, like you're going to, because they were going to get a CT or whatever, and then it's like, this is where you're going to aim. You're going to want to put the probe like around here, like, and they're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." They're like, "I don't know what the fuck I'm doing."
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. Like as an intern, like you like they're just throwing you into the fire, and like you have to be comfortable doing new things, and that's like one of the things. Like, would you rather like be a medical student and do something for the first time, or an intern? And it's like it's better to just be a medical student, obviously, in that scenario. But
100%. Do you? So I guess for radiology, when you're coming from a transitional year. Are you considered still an intern, like as I'm
PGY too. So
it's still PGY too, right?
I'm a radiologist.
Even though you have to always do intern year, right?
Yeah.
So then there just is none of that. Because I always thought it was weird that they would have to be considered interns anyway. So I was like,
yeah, because you need what do you mean?
To the radiology specialty, right? Because you don't know, you have to still learn the lingo and everything like that.
Oh yeah, I mean we're technically interns for radiology, but it's like that's not like a
but they're not calling you that, right? Because that's the thing is sometimes sometimes they call the first year of your medical school, like they're going to call you an intern
of residency.
Of residency.
You're an intern no matter what. Yeah,
you're an intern.
And then once you're done with that year, everyone kind of is like
you're the first paid intern, or you're the only paid intern of all in the whole world. Like most interns aren't really paid. I don't think, right? In the business world, they're not really paid, right?
Well, did they go to 4 years of medical school? So,
well, that's what I'm saying, right? But you call them an intern because they're not really getting paid.
Oh, is that right?